Hi, this is Jack from Alpha Charts with a stocks to watch video. Today is May 9th, 2021. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. Before we get started, this video is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security. And I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. All right, so let's start with the cues real fast, just for a real quick overview. Double bottom, breakout, retest, tried to move higher. Everyone was saying this was some kind of cup and high handle. Indexes don't always react that way. Either way, it kind of broke down. We saw the momentum divergence right over here play out on Friday. It tried to recover the 23-day. A big indecision bar right there. So I'm not sold. Again, a lot of supply up here that people may sell into. Again, and the divergence is still there and looks like it may be playing out to a bigger move lower. We don't know. Time will tell. But I go in depth in that more in my state of the market video, which I produce every Saturday morning. If you're interested in that, you can check it out on my YouTube channel. So let's keep going. Also, I think real fast, what to watch here is the 10-year yield. So I think that this, again, this is a big spot right here. As you can see, it hit this area many times. We busted through it. It looks like it's coming back to retest or has retested that area. And now potentially, if we see a big move up in a quick manner like this, that could be very dangerous for the growth stocks, which I do like. I think 2% is very possible. And I think, potentially getting up into that 3% level, somewhere around here, I think that's a possibility too. So watch the 10-year. That's important. Again, state of the market on Saturdays. I just posted one yesterday. I do a lot of intermarket analysis on bonds, sentiment, all that kind of stuff. All right, but let's get into stocks to watch, which is why you are here. I have 28 names. 5 of them are potential short squeezes. On top of that, 28. And you'll see a little bit change in character in some of the stocks I'm watching. So let's take a look. Know your time frame, know your risk tolerance, know your earnings dates. Grab a pen. We'll go through these fairly quickly. All right, so first one is TX, Ternium. So, all the way back to 2008, we hit this area. There's 10, there's 2011, back up here in 2018. Now we're back up here again. The more times an area is tested, the greater more likelihood it is to break. And I think that we may be close to that break here. Beautiful accumulation volume, and it has been happening for a while now. It's really since August of 2020, accumulation all across the board. This one looks really good. I do have a position in this one. Yeah, I love this one. If it gets above, I may actually add to this position and make this overweight. But that's TX. Next up, FLL. This is Full House Resorts. Again, nice accumulation volume, earnings on the 10th. That's tomorrow, but it is starting to break its way above this area right here. So that looks good. A nice little VCP pattern. I could probably even move this up here and move this down there like that. That's why a better representation, right? But beautiful VCP right here. Watch for the breakout on earnings tomorrow with volume. That could be a nice spot to enter. Next up is CEQP. So this one is, just stepping higher, right? It steps higher, pulls back, steps higher, pulls back, steps higher, pulls back. So we're right into one of those pullbacks. If this is your style, I think this could be a nice one. That's CEQP. Next one is Sprout Social, SPT, a little bit more of a growthy name. It looks like it's trying to make the right side of a base. Earnings is out of the way. So again, if you could get above, 65-ish, maybe that's a place to manage risk against. The 23-day would start to move higher, and things may be turning around for this company. Again, it looks like it's a right side of the base. We'll see. You maybe even be able to draw a trend line here, and maybe you would wait for it above this trend line to kind of, to get involved as a cheat entry, unless you want to wait to the all-time highs. Anyway, SPT. Next up is CHX. So CHX, I liked it back here. I got out of it when it started to roll over. Then it kind of continued up, retested. Actually, I think I bought it. I got out of it right here, actually. Made the right side of the base. I re-entered it here. So I do have a position right now in this one. It built out this right side. So it's kind of extended at this point, which is good for me. I sold some into strength. Um, so what I want to see is a pullback on lower volume, let the moving average catch up, and then the breakout. That could take a week, take a month, who knows, right? But let the 23-day kind of catch up to it, make a maybe little VCP type pattern or handle, right? More like a handle, and then boom, breakout. And I would be a buyer of the breakout. I may even be a buyer of a low volume pullback into the moving average. But I like this name a lot. It's in the oil and gas industry. So anyway, that's CHX. ORGO, Orgogenesis, they have earnings on the 10th, so that's tomorrow, but it's been a nice consolidation, flat 23-day. So again, not actionable until after earnings, and we'll see what the reaction to earnings is. That's always the most important thing. Kimco Properties, let's go back to a weekly chart here, and you can see Kimco has had an area of importance from 2017, 2019, and now we are in 2021 coming back up to this area. A little bit extended on the weekly, but if you look on the daily, not too bad. It may need a little bit of consolidation as it, the supply from only 2 years ago may still be in play. So if we get above though $21.75, $22, that would be great. Would love to see it chop around in that range a little bit, right? Like the 23-day catch up a little bit more. That'd be an amazing place to manage risk again. It's a REIT, right? Kimco Properties, Devon Energy, DVN. Very much like CHX in a lot of ways. We have this nice cup, and what would I be looking for? I'm looking for this nice little, pullback on low volume into this moving average, the 23-day, and then a breakout. And that would get me potentially involved in this name, right? So I don't trust this right here, even though it could just scream higher from here. That's not what I'm looking for safe entry. And put the risk reward and the chances of winning in my favor. So that's Devon Energy, DVN, ELY, Callaway Golf. Has kind of a double bottomish look to it, trying to complete it. Already had earnings. Actually, no, I lied. Earnings is on the 10th. So that's tomorrow. So what would I have to do? I have to get above $32, right? Preferably with volume. Now it is already extended. It was a 7% update that day. It was, almost 0.5% that day. And you see it's finding selling pressure up here, and it has in the past. So again, I think it needs a little bit more time. So pullback and then a breakout, again, would make the most sense. It is too far extended for me, but one to watch, and this week may become actionable. Next up is HGV. This is Hilton Grand Vacations. It kind of broke out, came back, retested. We have earnings out of the way. Nice accumulation volume recently in the last month or so. So I like the risk reward in this one, keeping around 42.50 as the place where I would manage risk against. You may go all the way down to maybe $42 or so, someplace a little bit lower here. That would be again, not too bad of a place to manage risk against. We're not the fastest of movers, but it is an uptrend and a good risk reward. Next up is FANG, FANG, Diamondback Energy. Let's go back to a weekly chart. So looking at the weekly chart in Diamondback, this was a extremely hot stock from 2012 to 2014, had an amazing 2-year run, right? And then it kind of chopped around, it broke out, it retested, it went a little bit higher, and it kind of failed. Here's your head and shoulders top that actually meant something, because most of them don't. But there was a head and shoulders right here. It broke down from the head and shoulders, and this is really a classic breakdown right here. Boom, then it chopped around, then started making its much lower legs. Anyway, now we're back to this important area though. Here we go. 86, 80, we call it $87, somewhere in there, right? If price gets over that, I mean, what do we have here? This looks like a bull flag, right? It's not a high type flag because it's going too long, but it's a bull flag, and that's bullish. And let's dig into this a little bit more. We had this beautiful up run. Now we have a low volume pullback. I'm not low volume, sorry. A not too deep of a pullback. Let's see what top to bottom is. Top to bottom, 19, 20%. It's normal pullback consolidation, nothing crazy. Beautiful accumulation here. Earnings out of the way. This one looks really nice, actually. I like this one a lot. That's FANG, FANG. Next up is going to be Kohl's, KSS. Earnings coming up soon, but we have this beautiful uptrend, not too deep of a pullback right here, kind of consolidation. And we'll see if it could go higher from here. Again, a little bit of selling once it does get above. So I wouldn't buy this before earnings for my personal risk tolerance, but I think that's one to watch as we head into earnings. KSS. GM, right? I've never, I think, put GM on here ever. Tesla's been on here, but never GM. But GM is showing a nice pattern here. We had the big up, we had the sideways consolidation. We know that $54, $55 is important. And now price is starting to move higher, earnings out of the way, some accumulation coming in. Again, is it the name I love, love, love? Nope. But it is an uptrend. It is showing relative strength. So if it does start to move, I would not be surprised if it moves quickly at that point. And you can see it has moments of moving very quickly in the past, right? So it's been consolidating and now maybe starting its next run higher. GM, EQT, EQT Corporation. So it did have earnings already, and on earnings, you see it dropped, 8.7%. But then the next day, it went up 12.38%. So what does that say? To me, it says that this was an overreaction, and buyers stepped in a big way. Now it's extended. It's kind of like went down, extended, big fat shakeout. Then they came in and bought it. So in order for me to consider this one, it would have to kind of go sideways or consolidate here, let the moving average catch up, and then go higher. Maybe retest this area is what I'm thinking, 1970-ish or so, and then moving higher from there. That's EQT. Decent amount of accumulation going on here the past few months or so. And I like how on the pullbacks, it's been a lower volume. So that's really nice to see. ELAN, ELAN. They are a pet med company. And this is from the IPO right here. And you can see this has been a very, very important area. And now we're just kind of, consolidating there. And let's go a little deeper. It had earnings. They must have been good because it gapped up on volume. Very nice. But now it'll start to get extended. I wouldn't be surprised if you see it continue to move higher. And then what I want to see is a low volume pullback right into the 23-day and then the breakout. And I think this breakout may be the buyable breakout right there. So that's what I'm watching for. Again, this is stocks to watch. So this is more, some of these are actual, some of these are a little bit longer term. It could take a few weeks or even a month for this to happen. But that's what I'd like to see. ELAN. Next up is Caesar, CZR, Caesar Entertainment. So we have this nice higher lows coming in, and we have higher highs, definition of an uptrend. This is kind of a cup, right? Now let's look for the handle, right? It's a little bit extended. And as you see with my arrows, I would love to see the 23-day kind of catch up with it. And then it bounce and break out on that. And then the breakout would be the potential buy point. You could also do a cheat entry in the handle if that's your style, right? 100, that's the part that has to hold, right? That's a psychological level that I always talk about. So I think 100 holds. If we pull back into 100, and that's where the 23-day is, I think that's an ideal spot to manage risk against. CZR. Next up, WCC, Wesco International. Beautiful earnings gap up. Not what I'm going to buy up here, but now let's see what happens. Again, sideways consolidation, low volume. This could make a beautiful power earnings gap, maybe some kind of falling wedge right into the moving average. And I would be real happy with that particular one. That's WCC. Floor and Decor, FND. So Floor and Decor had earnings and sold off, and then the buyers came in. So that's exactly what you want to see as far as sentiment goes in this name. I think you've seen a lot of sellers in this area. So if price gets above 115, 116, I think that says that maybe the sellers are tired, and then buyers can resume the uptrend. So nothing wrong with this name yet. I may need a little bit more sideways movement just to clean up the rest of these sellers, and then it could potentially move higher. Newmont, NEM, Newmont Mining Corporation. So this is, had earnings already. This has been an important area. Price is coming right back into it, very much extended. So again, like many of these names, I'm watching for price maybe to come into this area, then pull back on low volume, and then break out. I think this needs some kind of VCP. I'd like to see 67 hold here, right? If 67 holds, I think that's definitely a positive, especially if the 23-day would be in that area and you get the bounce and you get the move higher. This is definitely a breakout buy for me if it could get above $69. And I say definitely, I have to see where I'm at. There's no guarantees in anything, but I like this as a breakout buy here if it gets there. HL is Hecla Mining. So it's a lower price one at $7.28 currently, but it has earnings out of the way, decent accumulation in here, and it is trying to move higher, right? So we had a 16% move, and then you had this day right here when it gave back almost nothing. They tried to sell into it, and the buyers came right back. That's exactly what you want to see. I see this more as an accumulation day than a distribution or anything else in this day. And you're right there near the the breakout point. Is it extended? Absolutely. Between here and here, it's 12%. Let's go the other way too. 14% from above the 23-day EMA. So yeah, I'd like to see this consolidate some, maybe pull back just a little bit or chop around, and then let the 23-day catch up with it. But I think this looks like a really strong name going forward. HL. So steel has been hot, and it's hard to find actually good steel names. I've already listed a couple. US Steel, or X, is also another one. This has been, let's go to a weekly on this. You see it's been in a big time downtrend. It caught the bottom here, undercut it, and then has literally been on fire since. So now moving in, it had this nice little consolidation. This is a beautiful VCP right here, right? And then it broke out. So it's up 7% on Friday. Again, a nice accumulation coming in here. If it could pull back a little bit, this would be an amazing place to buy, right? I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but yeah, this one looks really, really nice. Pattern is just phenomenal. Yeah, would love to see it test 26. That would be perfect. Well, we don't get perfect all the time, so that was X. Next up, Franco-Nevada Corporation. F is in Frank, N, V is in Victory. This one is tried to break out here. It got rejected, came all the way back, and now it's trying this area again. The volume has been very good. Earnings out of the way. Again, it is extended, so would love to see that kind of, what I've been talking about, some kind of pullback, and then the breakout, right? That's what I'm looking for. Don't know if that's going to happen or not, or when that's going to happen. But again, it's just too extended for me at this point. But I'm watching. They may have some kind of weird inverse head and shoulders if we're going to do that, or something like that. But yeah, I do like this as a potential breakout right there. That was FNV. Next up, KL, Kirkland Lake. This was a really, really solid stock for a while, way back here. Right, this was, everyone was in Kirkland Lake Gold. That was a big deal right there, right? And then it kind of caught up to this point, the big pullback, tried to break out again, a pullback, higher low compared to this one, I guess. Looking at the daily chart though, what do we see? I mean, let's see. It could even be like a trend line right here. Yeah, something like this, right? So it kind of broke out of this trend line, retested it. Now it's moving higher. I kind of like that look right there. Good accumulation coming in. Earnings out of the way. That looks pretty good right there. Again, a little bit extended. So let's see what happens as it deals with this supply right here. If it could pull back just a little bit, maybe fill this gap, that would be great. Gets back to 39, 75 or so. That may be a beautiful place to manage risk as the 23-day runs up into it. That's Kirkland Lake, nice looking name. Next up, KGC. So KGC, another gold name coming up here, trying to make some kind of bottoming pattern, whether it's inverse head and shoulders or whatever you want to call it. Lower price name, earnings coming up on the 11th, but yeah, above 790. This has potential, maybe even 785. This has potential. We need a little bit of volume to come in, starting to a little bit right there, but it is getting extended and earnings coming up. That's KGC. Next up, GFI, another miner. Again, very interesting area. I don't know when earnings are. It's not listed on here, so be aware of that. But again, got a little ahead of itself, getting extended. Nice gap right there for it to fill if it could. That may be the spot that would be interesting to me as the 23-day moves up into that area. So I'll be watching that one again, but I don't know when earnings is, so be careful. So PAAS is next. Pan American Silver. Again, looking at a weekly chart, because a lot of these miners, you need to look at the weekly chart to get a sense of context, right? Where did it come from? What was its past history like? So here is PAAS. And as you can see, this uptrend right here is new and it's consolidation in this area. And it has this supply way back from 08 and from 2010 maybe to contend with. That's a long time ago, and that supply may not even be there anymore. So that would be the potential way overhead supply. I don't put as much stock in these, 13-year-old supply and 10, 12-year-old supply in a name like this. It could be there still. Don't get me wrong. I'm more worried about it right here. So as we go to a daily chart, there's my two lines, and you can see that has earnings coming up and is making this rounding bottom, right? So, it's trying to do something like that. So it looks good as far as the rounding bottom goes. It needs to finish it up and see what happens with earnings. But that's Pan American Silver. And SSRM is the last one in this group. Again, going to a weekly chart, this is also a mining stock. You can see that, what a base, right? 2011, it tried to break out here. We'll say the real breakout happened over here in April, came back. We'll call this a deep retest, and now it's trying to move higher again. Zooming out to the daily chart, you see earnings are out of the way, and it's trying to move higher, and accumulation is not great. So I don't love the volume profile on this, but only price pays. So a little more pullback into the 1675 area, and that'd be a great risk reward area in my opinion, especially when the 23-day is moving up into it, and the strength we've seen in gold and the increasing in yields. So there's SSRM. All right, a couple short squeeze candidates. First off, Children's Place, PLCE. This has been an important area. Get earnings in a couple weeks, so be careful for that. But if you can move higher with some volume, I like that right there. I'm still in love, LOVE. So far, it's stair stepping higher. It needs to hold this 23-day for me to continue to be involved in it. Nice volume coming in though on Friday. So this looks like it may want to move a little bit higher. SOLY, SOLY. Trying to make some kind of bottoming or consolidation pattern right here. Earnings on the 13th, so a little bit too soon for me to get involved, but watch for a breakout above $18.75, $19 with some volume, and I think this one could really move. Arch. Arch is one I am currently involved with. Almost got out of it right here, actually, but I waited just one more day to see what happened, and I was rewarded for that patience. Again, we all have rules, but you also have to kind of see what the rules are. I was waiting the next day. I saw it was in gap up, watched how it played, retook the 23 day, and it's been off to the races since. But we're back to a specific area right here, right? This $51, $52. Right. So if it can continue to move higher, this one has a potential place to squeeze. This last couple of days have been on lower volume, so we may find some selling in here and some choppiness before this decides to move higher, but we do have a series of higher lows and so far higher highs. So the uptrend is intact in this one, and hopefully if this does break out, we can see a nice short squeeze. The last one in this bunch is KIRK. And KIRK does have earnings at the end of May 25th, and it's been in a nice sideways movement. That's KIRK, and potentially this is trying to move higher. Nice little move right there. It doesn't have a ton of short float, but there is a bunch of shares that are short. So this one again could move much higher. All right, so there you go. We got 28 names plus the 5. I'm not sold that growth is in the clear in this market. Friday was a good day for some names, not so good for others. We're still seeing a lot of selling in the growth names into strength, which to me, selling into strength, even if it's a green day like this was, isn't the healthiest situation for growth. So you saw I'm looking at miners, I'm looking at energy. Not too many banks or anything in there, but they're just doing amazing too. I probably should look into those a little bit more too. Anyway, hope you all have a good week. If you like this content, please like and subscribe to my channel. That really does help me, and I really do appreciate it. Leave me a comment below. Tell me which one you liked, if any of them. Tell me what I missed, right? I'm sure there's names that are on your screens that you like that I'm totally whiffed on. So I appreciate that. Follow me on Twitter at AlphaCharts365. And I hope you all have a great day. Happy Mother's Day to all.